Thank y'all for joining me. Before we get into this, I first want to say, I'm grateful that you're taking out this time to join the Newark Museum of Art to delve into this conversation. And then secondly, I want to kickstart this conversation first by us, or I should say you, explaining a little bit of what you do in the entertainment world to our audience so that they get a fuller picture of who you are. And let's just be honest, the respect that you command, all right? So with that being said, I'm going to start first with, and I'm only starting with you because, we share something special. We share the same first name. So Daryl.
Yes, we do.
I'm going to start with you first. So, Daryl, you're going to kick us off. Give us your name, where you're from, and the entertainment lane that you primarily work in.
Sure. So, thank you so much for having me, Daryl. Great name. I'm Daryl with one R. I'm originally from Vauxhall, New Jersey. So, if there's anybody from Vauxhall, New Jersey, shout out to you. I saw some people pump in the chat. Other gentlemen, James and Roger, it's so nice to see you both as well. I am a disruptor. I am a multi-hyphenate disruptor. But I think if I had to kind of give it a formal title, I would say I'm a actor, director, and producer. I work mostly in the regional space. Right now, I work at New Jersey Performing Arts Center, which is also in Newark, which is where I live. And right now, I'm actually in the Berkshires working on a new musical. So that's where I am now. And I'm excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you. Like I said, I wanted to make sure that I plucked the best of the best from the entertainment world, especially men of color, because I really wanted to keep our conversation centered around that. And we're going to delve more into that, how important that is, especially when it concerns the LGBTQ plus community. But I change over now to James. So James, if you could introduce yourself and tell the community at large, entertainment field that you typically work in.
Well, my full name is James T. Lane. I'm from Philadelphia. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi.
And I'm what you call a triple threat. I sing, dance, and act well, and I excel at those things. And and I've just added the title of writer to that kind of definition of who I am, or characterization of who I am. I work, in television, stage, and hopefully film someday. But I'm a stage guy. That's where I'm born.
I love it. Speaking of stage, while I have you, because I love artists, especially my artists of color, because we like to be humble, right? So I want to jump into this really quickly because you have a one-man play that you're doing right now, and I meant to tap Daryl because Daryl is going to be doing one at the museum in July, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna come back to you, Daryl, but I want to have James sort of explain what this one-man stage production is all about, so that people can get a more of a sense of just how dynamic you truly are. Because he's not lying when he says triple threat. So I want you to just kind of explain that a little more.
Well, I'm going to work backwards a little bit. The title actually came, most recently, because it came out of the fact that I was working in the chorus of a show, and I thought, I was getting, that feeling of agitation of this is not going to be enough.
Yeah.
This is not, what do they say, that, God's blessing is larger than what you can see, but I was feeling that. And so I was yearning for more creative responsibility. And, so I started to write, and as I wrote, I realized that what I was writing would require all of me, and I could do all of those things that I was writing about.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, what happens when you do all of those things? You're a triple threat, and that's what the play is. It's a play that moves and sings. Yeah. I play over 20 characters in the show. You know, and the blood of the play is dance. So by the end of the show, you know, I'm literally, you know, there's at one point I take off my shirt and throw it on the floor, and there's like a puddle splashes on the floor of all my sweat. But it's you know, it follows a young Black gay man from Philadelphia to Broadway, and all of the successes, failures, trappings, ups and downs that come with that life, you know. So no stone is unturned. I'm not shy about who I am. If they don't know, they're gonna learn something when they come to see it, you know. And you know, but at the end, you know, like I said, there's definitely some razzle dazzle. So you know, got to give them a little bit of that. But
I have to say that your show is, and I haven't seen it yet, right? But the reviews, and I had my own personal family actually attend your show. And when I say the way that they blew my phone up was like, oh my God, you gotta like, he's so amazing. So, you know, which is what lended itself to me reaching out, part of what lended itself to reaching out. And then of course I had to do my homework, and I was like, brother is, you know, thing. So yes, shout out and congrats to you on that. Again, and shout out, I see Virginia in the chat. So I think is that my mom? Like, in Virginia Beach. So she's like, I saw the show in Virginia Beach. She loved it. So yeah. So with that being said, you're making waves all up and down the East Coast and beyond. So just continue to do what you're doing. And last but not least, Roger. So I want to first thank you for joining us. And can you tell our viewers a little bit about what you do and what you're working on currently?
Well, first, I want to say thank you for inviting me. This is Happy Hour, so I brought a virtual.
Okay, I'm here for it. I'm gonna cheers you on that one. Cheers.
Cheers. Although I don't drink, but you know, I don't go anywhere with something without something. So yes, my name is Roger Omeus Jr. I am the writer, director, producer of Finding Me Truth, Finding Me the series, and currently the Decalogue series, which is an anthology series. So there's like 4 different series in this anthology that are spin-offs from Finding Me. And currently working and airing Talks with Myself, which Daryl is one of the cast members in that series. So I wear many hats, let's put it that way.
That you do. I mean, and let's also underscore, you have your own like network or platform that these shows can be found on. So we have to plug that because let's be clear, you know, Tyler Perry and all these other Oprah, they created their own platforms because they wanted to see more of them in the world, right? And we all know that it starts off sometimes small, but the way it grows is by other community members joining in and supporting that. So I want to underscore that. So could you like spotlight that and how people can maybe find your platform to watch all of your programs?
Yeah, it's OmePro TV. That's OmePro TV.com. And I created that platform in the beginning after the success of Finding Me and Finding Me Truth. Finding Me the series was an experiment, and we put it on YouTube. And so people started asking for more episodes. They wanted the episodes to be longer. And understanding that the platform of YouTube is free, and not to be negative, but there are people with more money can take your ideas, which is on YouTube, and then create their own story from that. At the time, my partner, Ray Martel Moore, who was one of the actors, and I decided to create a network, an online network. And so that's how Pro TV was created. And ever since then, I've been putting my programming on that platform as a way for people, a place for people to go to see other independent indie artists, not just the episodes. There's music videos on there and more things to come in the future. But I wanted to create a platform and a place and a safe space for us that represents us.
Yeah, you got hands in the chat about that. People stealing the programming and going off and creating their own thing, which we've seen not only the LGBTQ community, but we've seen it happen just to people of color. And to be honest, it was one of the most frustrating things as a creative, being a person of color. We've recently in the news media seen them talk about TikTok and TikTok creators and how, you know, non-people of color are taking people of color's content and, you know, basically selling it that they created it. So again, so I definitely for all of you all support these 3 brothers and all of their endeavors and what they're doing, because the way to really, really get to that Oprah Tyler Perry status is that own community back you, and that's what they did. And I raised another name I should throw in there too. She didn't see what she herself reflected in the entertainment world, so she created her own platform. So again, shout out to all of y'all, because writers. I mean, every one of you up here is a writer and a director in some capacity. That's a big undertaking. So thank you all for sharing. I hear my echoes a little audio a little echoey on your end. It is. I don't know what to do about that. Okay, I'm sorry that it is. I don't know if it's the connection. I don't want to like disconnect because I'm nervous that it might go away and we lose all of you. So just bear with me who are watching. Sorry about that. Maybe I'll get closer. Does that help? No? Yes? No? Maybe not?
I think it's all right. I think it's okay.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push forward, right? And I want to start off our conversation talking about this idea of the LGBTQ community in entertainment and the world of television. I want to kick off first. We already acknowledged that it's Pride. And in the LGBT community, we know that when it's Pride Month, this is the I don't say first and main time, but the first time that most people tap you and want to have you speak or have you be present in a space. How do you feel towards the representation being more jilted towards 1 month and not seeing that diversity year round?
Well, that's that's a really great question. I'm Black and gay, 365. That's just the facts. So there is a process of letting the world catch up and accepting the world for where it is. Not co-signing it, but just being aware that there are positions and things in place that are that are money makers or that get trendy special times of years at certain times of years of the year. But like you said, it's LGBTQ. We're always at the forefront of style and artistry and and trends and stuff like that. So I will say this: at the start of the pandemic and with George Floyd, I think there was a hesitancy to be clear about the financial aspect of what I was doing. Like, there was always like 3 conversations later, I'm asking about the money.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, so if I'm appearing, then this is my fee. And how will that fee be processed before we go on? Like, that's a major change in kind of like my feeling about how I do what I do. Like, there's no you don't, that's not a third or fourth conversation anymore.
Yeah.
And as artists, that conversation, people love to give you the work and then pay you 8 weeks later. And it's like, the bill is due on the 31st, and you're trying to like call or not call or like doing that dance, and then they sucking their teeth. Like you putting them out or something. The work is done, the film is shot, and you're still waiting. So all of that, in light of what we went through this past year, it's been like, this is my fee. This is how are we taking care of that? So that's a major shift for me in kind of that space. It's kind of adjacent to what you're talking about, but I just really wanted to put it out there.
No, I mean, that's right. It's non-negotiable. What your fee is, it is regardless of what you think I'm worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Do Roger and Daryl want to comment on their thoughts?
Well, I want to. I hope I'm staying on track on the question that you asked, but seeing how this is World Pride Month, and then the next month comes around and we go back to our regular scheduled programming. For those of us who are living our lives, I don't ever like being put on a shelf for a moment and then being taken off, because this is a life, So for me, I understand that's Black History Month, the shortest month of the year, but I see there's this movement that Black history is 365 days of the year, not just that 1 month. And I think the normalization of LGBTQ plus is now making that the same norm, that we are going beyond just 1 month. We're celebrating people who have achieved, those who have not achieved on a global scale, but they're still doing things. They're still making moves. 365 days of the year, beyond just the month. But it's good that the month highlights, these groundbreaking people that push the envelope. But my life continues beyond just this month.
I love that,
Yeah.
and I would agree with you, Daryl. Did you want to piggyback off of Roger?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that I can think of to add to that is that I love Beyonce, and Beyonce has a quote, I'm paraphrasing it, where she talks about power is not given, it's taken. And I think that, I'm so over, begging people to see and acknowledge and respect us. And so now I'm demanding it. And now it can't be, it's not a discussion, it's not a negotiation, it is a prerequisite. And I think that should be the way that it should be for all of us, be it Black, be it queer, be it young, be it whatever community or flag you're standing on. I think that, we're just at the point now in the world where we have to be really, really clear about what it is and what it is not.
I love that. And that actually segues into my next question, because I want to underscore, highlight that we do have we have representation happening right now, right? So with shows like Pose, Noah's Ark, we have both 911 series now, Zoe, Playlist, P Valley. We do have, now that do we feel that the community of color is fully represented in its fullness in television, or do we think we have more ground to cover? What would you like to highlight if you had your own series that you feel doesn't get enough representation within the LGBTQ community, specifically men of color? And I kickstart off with, we'll start with James. James looks like let's go with it.
Well, I feel all of these things happening, and I'm so excited, and I love that the world is getting to experience the ballroom scene, and all of it. I'm very excited about it. I find myself walking down the street and thinking, like, what if there was a sitcom, where there were two Black gay men married, raising a family, and they just happen to be gay, and they're just going through their lives. They're mama's got Alzheimer's. The plumber's there. I got to get Keisha's hair together for her school show on the 3rd. So it's funny, that touching video of the Black father doing her hair. So these influences are coming, in, and if I'm thinking about it, other people are thinking about it. Other people are needing that, and it's like, I had a friend in high school, and his name was Donato. He died of a heroin overdose, but he was a poet. He is a poet. And he said, he wrote, saying and doing are the two most distant relatives in the family of self-action. That was high school, Donato. Wow. And so all of these things that are coming up, put pen to paper and write them down, share them, and just get started doing it, because you never know who you'll meet who has a platform. I mean, I'm a stage baby, so I love working it out on the stage, and then I take it into other places. So I would love to see me. I would love to see the everyday, because I look forward to the time when it's just it's just a father taking care of his kids.
I hear that. And maybe you and Roger should partner writing stuff. It sounds, I mean, because I'm just thinking out loud. Like you came up with this like on the spot sitcom. You gave us a, you gave us a whole arc of characters. So I'm here for it. Roger, would you want to chime in and add on to your thoughts about progress and with the shows that I listed? And what would you desire to see that you feel is highlighted enough? And maybe you're doing that with your show. I don't know. Drop some gems for us.
Well, that's been my goal since I started doing this back in 2007 with Finding Me. My goal was to show everyday people, and when I say it happens to be, I don't mean that it's a choice, but everyday people who happen to be, gay or a lesbian or straight, and they're just together, they're friends or in their relationships or whatever. So that has always been my goal. Yeah. And back in 2007, we didn't have that. There was very few. Mm-hmm. I would say now there has been some great progress, like shows like Pose, because it's showing representation. But in terms of mainstream, I'm tired of being the snap finger person on the, co-star, or you just see a highlight of their of this person's character, and it's not always a Black person. It could be, someone else. So right now, yeah, I'm being selfish, and I want to see us. I want to see my people. I'm going to see our faces. I want to see our stories, and our very unique stories too, because we are unique. I don't want it to be watered down. Yes, we can play every role. We can play like what they say, Friends. Well, we all know Friends came from Living Single, but
Living Single,
right? But there's the stark difference. When you look at Living Single, you look at Friends. Yes, it's basically the same show, but there's a flavor that's in Living Single that Friends would never have. And so I don't ever want us to lose our flavor, what makes us us, in watering down so that we can be assimilated and then just be a part of the show. No, our stories are unique to us, and I want to see more of that. And that's my job. That's my goal. That's what I'm doing, and I will continue doing.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well, you just make sure when you win your Oscar that you invite all of us. We definitely want to be at the Oscar party. And if not, employ us as well. I mean, as we're all performing artists, so we're all looking for that, Roger. So just remember us along the way, because with that intent, it's going to happen. It already is happening, I should say. So, Daryl, did you want to piggyback off of what Roger said, or have your own? Maybe you have a different lens that you want us to examine it through.
I think that one of the big things that I find that's really missing is generational stuff. I would love to see stuff where older LGBTQ characters maybe have relationships or have connections to younger. That conversation about what it means to be a millennial is different than what it means to be 45, 50 years old and up, right? It's two totally different worlds, oftentimes. So I would love to see something generational. I would love to see something where, again, to piggyback off of what James and Roger said, where it's not based around the character's sexuality, but that they're human stories, right? It's three friends or it's three brothers, and one is gay, one is straight, one is just wild as hell, and they're all, and we follow them, at the height of their family's publication company. I don't know. There's so much to us. We have so much depth and creativity and color. I don't want to see another wrist flipping vagabond in a heel, at the bus stop as, the star's purse. I want to see real human stories and connections, and I think that we're ready for that. And so now the question is, where's the funding and where are the barriers of access?
That part.
Because I know, including the two on this call and so many more brilliant talents, some of them are probably watching, brilliant, talented creators, writers, actors, directors, cinematographers, filmmakers who are chomping at the bit for some funding to do this work. So we have the ideas. Where's the money?
Mm-hmm.
I think right. Show me the money, as Tom
Right.
Cruise. I think you hit on something really important there. Like, while some of the elements that you mentioned are a part of the community, it's a small spectrum of the community, right? We overlook stories like when we think about MLK, we don't think about the connection to the LGBT community. But half of the things that MLK accomplished and did wouldn't be had he not had his right hand man, who was a part of the LGBT plus community. So that activism component, that and the fact that he was denied, be front facing because of that, because of the timeline, right? And even today, we see that still happening today. So I think it's really important that all three of you underscored that. Yes, got me in the chat. Yes, Bayard Rustin, absolutely. So with that, I want to.
Can I just say something here? You mentioned Daryl. It touched a real hot point for me. This intergenerational thing, because we lost a generation of people, as particularly artists, to the AIDS epidemic, and we have to search even harder for those voices, because ACT UP, Fight AIDS, that was very white, little spot here and there, specky speck. But there is a generation of stories that have not been told, and not been experienced, and I mean, we're living a lot of the culture of that time. Yeah. We're living a lot of culture of that, but it's been co-opted.
Yeah.
So that's that.
And I'm glad you said that, because it does kind of lead me into my next question. Again, laminate everything we're saying. So this is a question in regards to, like, the movie Moonlight, right? So why do you think the film Moonlight was so successful? And do you think we'll ever see that garnered this public acknowledgement, even though it was centered around the lives of Black men, which typically happens for films with acknowledgement that you saw? It only happens for films that have white gay lead, for example, Brokeback Mountain. Do we feel we'll ever see, like, or what we do to create another, move like movie, not movie, but space to make it, to create visibility for movies like
that? I think I can jump in on this one.
Yeah, go for it, Daryl.
And I just want to point out that though the movie is Moonlight, it's based off of Terrell Alvin McCraney's play, and Black Boys Look Blue in the Moonlight, or In the Moonlight, Black Boys Look Blue. I also want to acknowledge that Barry Jenkins, who is not necessarily a part of the LGBTQ community, got a lot of the steam from that particular project. And he got a lot of the accolade and a lot of the star power, right? We heard a lot less about other players, including Terrell Alvin McCraney, in my opinion. So I think we have to be mindful about this sort of alignment, right? Where it's like people, allies, people who are not necessarily a part of the community are aligning themselves, be it for financial gain, notoriety, or other things, but they are not necessarily representing the community. So someone telling a gay story is alignment to me, but a gay creative telling a gay story is something totally different, right? Someone kissing a girl on television is a directorial choice. It's kind of like a cool thing. It's like, oh, she kissed a girl and she liked it, Katy Perry. But having a lesbian, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Or a woman who identifies as a bisexual, proud, out, have whatever you may, name it how you may, is something totally different. And so I want to see, I feel like less representation is exactly that. Like, have the people in the room represented. I love Moonlight. I thought it was beautifully shot. But it was, to me, it was watered down. It was still a Hollywood film, right? It was like the Hollywood film version of like what they imagine a if we could call it this, a queer connection or relationship. So I just feel like it's a start, but I would love to see what it looks like to go a little bit further down the road of progress.
Mm-hmm.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in real quick? Because you're saying some powerful stuff. So
Yes.
I think the bottom line is money, right? And what gets greenlit. And this is where our power has to come in. When I say our power, the Black community, we need to get over our biases and prejudices and understand that all of our stories matter. So they're hiring a lot of heterosexual actors to play gay characters as opposed to hiring a plethora of gay actors, some that may not be out, that's fine. But those who are out, you can hire those actors as well to tell our stories. It's almost as if, and I deal with this in my series as we film. People are not ready to see two masculine presenting males and see how we actually live. It's almost too, either we're fetishized for it, or it's like we don't want to see that. It's too much. But every other story, shoot 'em up movies and drug movies, that can get greenlit. But stories that have to do with two men or two women or two trans people loving each other in a normal story with sensationalism, because we want to see something that entertains us, is never greenlit. And that's what I've been hearing and reading, that our stories won't get greenlit, and therefore Moonlight, the next Moonlight, could be 10 years from now. I don't want to wait. I don't wait. I tell my own stories. I tell our stories as best as I can, with no money, most and almost all of the time. But it's important as artists as we remember that money can ruin the art, the purity of the art, because the minute money comes in, people feel like they have ownership of your stories, of your art. And instead of letting us create as we can and using the money as a tool, which is what it is, they feel like they have ownership. So I think it's incumbent of us to create our own stories, stop waiting, and make it happen.
Yes, yes, yes. Amen, amen, amen. You create, you need, so that vision is there, so that that essence, that thing is there from beginning to the end. That's what Triple Threat is about. And I tell all the tea in Triple Threat. Fetishizing, race, casting, where they want you to be all and that's not who you are. I lived through all of that during Triple Threat, but creating and doing, is the way to go. Moonlight, it's funny because when I saw the advertisements, I thought like, oh wow, here we go. But it was like in a tip, like a toe in the water of and the relationship was still taboo. Like the relationship wasn't like like that's why when I saw Noah's Ark, I was like, that's me. Like I was like, oh, like, and would they get like 2 seasons or something like that? And then it was like, and then we got some jump in the broom thing, and I was like, but like I think he wanted to hold on to that, and they were trying to take that away. I think that's what the lore is behind that. But creating the content, being behind the table is where it's at. And this, in a pandemic, Triple Threat happened. So I had no money.
Right.
But I had a drive and a determination and a need to create what I could know was the authentic voice and be a part of that. Yeah.
Well, can I just add one last thing before when you say Noah's Ark, you got to go a little further back and talk about punks. And I remember when that movie came out, I went to see that movie 4 times. Each time I went, I brought new friends with me because that was the first time on film that I saw us, my friends. And He did that with very little. Patrick Ian Polk, we have to give him his props.
Yes.
He did that with very little, but what a story! And why is it that we can't find it? Why is it not streaming anywhere?
Right.
Why is it we still don't see a story that was made by us, and for everyone else that would help us? We can't stream it. It's almost like you got to get a bootleg. Who does bootleg anymore?
Right.
While we're on this topic, we only have like a few minutes left, like maybe 5 or 6. I do want to quickly touch on the idea that often from our own community, people of color, they feel that there's some secret agenda, right? We're talking about pushing the bar forward, right? And I've heard frequently through the community, our community of color, that there's this thought that there's some magical agenda of making these stories more prominent and somehow, shape or form, hinders the Black community in general. What would you say to that?
Fear, shame. Like, you better not say that. They're going to get you. You better not say that. I'm done. It's fear. Fear. I mean, and it's systemic. The fear is systemic. So that's all I have to say about that.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a sickness. It's when I say it's a sickness, it's a mental sickness that our community really needs to tackle, because we exist in all parts of the community, whether we're out or not, and most people know it, and we are a part of the community. So it's a sickness that needs to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, I think about a box of crayons. When they add more colors, it doesn't take away from the fact that red is still red, orange is still orange, yellow is still yellow. They might add macaroni and cheese, but yellow is still yellow, orange is still orange. And I feel like if the crowns can get it right, why can't we?
Okay, dropping. I'm like, I'm so glad you shared my name. Like this, that was a whole word in itself. I have to agree.
Think about it. They expand the Crayola. The Crayola index is constantly expanding, and red and orange and yellow have yet to protest.
and they're not doing any other color as well, like yellow, pink, or white. So they still remain orange, right? Magically, they still.
That's right.
Fight it all, right? So I want to wrap up, and I want to bring this to a close. And in doing so, I want you all to just shout out your information so people can know where to find you, how to follow the amazing things you're doing. I'm already following you 3 gentlemen, but I want our audience to be able to do the same. So I'll start with Daryl first, and then work my way to James and wrap up with Roger.
Oh, this has been so wonderful. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to everybody who's watched. You can contact me at iamdarylstewart.com. That's 1 R. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. It's all it's at the Daryl Stewart, TheDaryl Stewart. And I'm really excited to be bringing a new series to Newark Museum next month called Broadway in the Bricks. And Broadway in the Bricks is really my first attempt at bringing more traditional musical theater to Newark, because we don't have a lot of that. So I'm really, really excited. Hopefully we can get James to come and do some turns and spins and sing for us at another series. So thank you guys so much. Let's stay connected. Let's continue to lift up each other's work.
No doubt. Are open, in case any of you all are not aware. The Newark Museum of Art opened yesterday officially. So
great.
It's the pandemic, but we have reopened. Lots of cool things to see. I'm going to pass it to James before the time runs out. Then Roger.
Thanks. You can catch me at www.jameslane.com. You can find out more information about Triple Threat, where it was filmed, so it will be available for purchase later on this summer. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook, and I will teach dance wherever you let me.
So, my public program managers are watching. Roger, you got it?
You can reach me at Director Roger on IG and Twitter. And my series, all of my series, is on omiprotv.com. New episode of Talk to Myself is coming out this Sunday at 9 p.m.
Nice. And you all, just want to send out a thank you for joining us. Again, we really appreciate you taking out this time and being with us. If I didn't say this at the beginning of the program, my name is Darryl Dwayne. I am the coordinator of community engagement here at the Newark Museum of Art. And I also double as a host, as you see. So with that, I would encourage you all to make sure that you're following all three of these gentlemen. Feel free to also follow me if you want to follow my personal page for updates about the museum and any other projects that I may be working on or affiliated with. And make sure you're following the museum. If you're following one of these gentlemen and you're not following the museum, we have a lot of virtual programs happening. So even if you're not in the city of Newark, you can still join us virtually for those virtual programs and see all of the offerings. So when you come visit, you'll know what's popping in Newark. All right. So again, thank you all. Thank you. This was a great conversation. The chat is lit up. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. So I will be in touch with you gentlemen offline. Hopefully we can all link up for a drink. I'm ready if y'all are ready.
I'm ready.
You're in Philly. So James, you're not too far. That's only a train ride away. So
Right.
as a matter of fact. So we got to all catch up and we can talk about it over cocktails. But with that being said, again, thank you all for joining us at home. And until next time, this will live on our Instagram page, so you can always refer back. And that, gentlemen, feel free to repost. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Daryl.
Have a great one.
Have a good evening.
Nice seeing you. Nice to meet you guys.
Likewise.